Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So in our last session, we were discussing about the Linux basics, by the way, and we started with a couple of commands we learned. And so first thing is we understand the path of the Linux, by the way, and also even before to that. So what is the thing that we understood is, so in Windows, by the way, so you'll be having a case sensitive. It's a case insensitive. That means you can create a folder called as DevOps, but you can't create another folder called as DevOps, which is capitals. Whereas in Linux, by the way, those are individual. So that's a case sensitive operating system where you are going to have DevOps as a different file or folder, and capital DevOps is a different file or folder. Okay. So this is what is the one thing that we have discussed in yesterday, in the basic understanding of how the difference it is with Linux, and in Windows it is going to be a backslash, and whereas Linux is all forward slash. Okay, that is one thing. And this forward slash is basically called as a root directory where the place of your, the whole directory structure starts. It's called as a root, considering as a tree, by the way. So this is, root. And after that, inside that, you'll be having some other directories inside that. Okay. So now slash root means you need to understand that it is under slash with a folder name called as ROOT. And also there is a root, by the way, which is called as administrator account. So his username is ROOT. His username is ROOT, and this directory belongs to him. So that's where it's also the same name. It's ROOT is a root directory. So that is a quite introduction we talked about in yesterday's session. And after that, we talked about the commands, by the way. If I want to see the list of files in Windows, maybe you open, double click, you see the files in graphical view, but here you can't see them. So that's where ls command will help you. In ls command, you have a couple of options, which is, capital A and small l is one of the widely used two options, is what I mentioned, by the way. With this, you will be able to identify the information. And after that, so in Windows, by the way, so if you are in some directory, it might help you in the tops showing that, in which directory you are in. But however, in Linux, okay, you may not be able to identify. So like as I mentioned, so we are going to customize the prompt a little bit so that you will understand. So for an example, so here is my Linux box, so anyhow, it's a disconnected box. I was in some directory. I'm just telling the information that I'm in this particular location. Okay. So if I go to some other locations also, it will generally show. You see this, I was in this location, I was in this location. Okay. So by seeing the prompt itself, I'm trying to, achieve the same thing, by the way, to know where am I. But by default, actually, the command prompts of Linux don't come with that customization. So, okay. So I have customized it for my systems, by the way. So anyhow, later you'll start using mine. Okay, there you'll see that customization, but otherwise it is possible to customize. What you get is a vanilla version of the operating system. Ultimately, we need to customize, and this is I just took it as a part of that customization. And now going back, by the way, so what we were discussing is, so if you want to know which directory you are in, so then the command which you have is a pwd is a command. Present working directory. Okay, if you don't have that prompt and you wanted to just run that. And the next one is cd. If you want to go from one directory to another directory or one folder, okay, here the language I may be using a little bit different. So in Windows, you call it as a folder. Here I'm calling it as a directory. Okay, both are same only. So cd and to that particular folder or directory, you have to provide. That's what we have seen. Also, we have seen so cd dot dot denotes your parent directory, right? So for short references, okay, this will help you as well. After that, we talked about how do you create a file by using touch command. It creates an empty file. Mkdir to create a directory, it creates an empty directory. Now, after that, we talked about rm command to remove a file and -f to forcefully remove, avoiding the prompt of yes or no. And also -r if you want to remove a directory, by the way, rm-r. All right. So the next one is a cp command. Cp command is to copy the file, and you're copying a directory, then you have to give -r. And the last but not least, in the last discussion we had it is mv command. which is MV is a command which is used to for two purposes. One is cut paste. You want to move the file from one location to another location, you use a command, and you use MV command. And as well as the next one is okay, if you are actually trying to rename the file, by the way, also you can use MV command, and it will rename, by the way. Now MV, a file name and a destination. If the destination is a directory, so you will give a source and you give a destination. If destination is a directory, so then it will move. Destination is directory, then it will move. If destination is a file, if destination is a file, it does a rename. That's it. The simple two patterns that you are having on the MV command. So until here, we have discussed in the yesterday session. So today we are going to continue further, by the way. So before going, any questions?
Hi Raghu, I have one question. Is it possible to come out of the ROOT directory and to create a like new directory?
Yeah, you can.
So like what is you like just by using mkdir command or
Correct.
like do we,
MKD.
oh, I tried but it didn't work out for me. Like I created I mean using the mkdir command, I have created like new directory. It was inside the
You have to
root
come
directory.
out of the root means you are under /root, for an example. If you want to come out of root means you have to go to cd/. And after that, you have to give mkdir, so something new, by the way, like whatever it is. Then the directory is created.
Okay, but like if you give cd slash, it like it goes back to root directory only, right? Again, if I okay, again if I use mkdir new, I mean new directory name, it is like it created in the root directory only.
Right. But
Mm.
where you want to create then?
I mean like uh, I wanted to come out of the root and then create a new directory. Is that possible?
That's what come out means. You like where you want to come out. And that's what I shown. You're coming out of the root cd/, right? That means you're coming out of root only, this root directory. You're going to
Okay,
slash directory, and there you are creating new.
okay, okay. I'm like, can you execute that once?
Sorry. Yeah. So now I created a new directory. You can go to
Okay.
new. You're in slash.
Okay. So can you execute PWD now? Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me just start it. Until here, not. Yeah, until here we have discussed in the last session. So today we're going to talk about an editor, how to, so now yesterday we talked about how do you create a file, an empty file, by the way. So today we're going to talk about how do we create a file with some content as well. So how can you edit a file which is already there, okay? Or you create a file uh, or you create a file with some content, and you start creating a file and then with content, or you can edit an existing file, does not really matter. Okay, so that's where we're going to do both the things. Now there are many editors in the which is part of different operating system, like even in Windows also. Now if you just give an editor, so editors, like there are so many third party editors that you install, but Windows comes with a native editor which is called as a Notepad or WordPad, right? So those does the job, but however, okay, a lot of people will be going with some extra editors as well. This is the same applies to operating system as well, with Linux as well. Like people want to go with some alternate editors, they will go with that. But natively, it comes with a basic editor called as VI editor. But editors like VI Nano, Gedit, Emacs, okay, these are all very popular editors that people uses in the operating system. But majority, like 90% of the operating system ships with VI editor as a default editor. Okay, so that 90% also I randomly pick because I know it. There is no, like, because you have three, four distributions is only there. Everything is a copy from there. So those three, four distributions comes as VI as a default one only. Okay, so that's where VA itself is much widely used one, and it's also a very powerful editor, by the way. It's not like by default coming like a notepad with a very basic options. It is the powerful editor. Okay, so still a lot of people still uses VA editor, okay, in their development as well. Okay, so a lot of my colleagues, okay, who are developers, so still use VA editor only. It's a very very powerful editor. So no need of using mouse at all. Okay, that's the simple idea if you go with the VA editor. Okay, it saves a lot of your time, so you can do a lot of customization where it is more flexible. Okay, so whatever the reason it is, that's fine. Okay, so it's all individual interests. Okay, but however, VI is a very powerful editor which just comes as a default. So here we are going to consider learning the editor. Now you going with a, okay, so going with a basically, like so an editor, what all the things that you do fundamentally, just basic things you talk about. You open a file, you do add your content, and you come out. Maybe you have some fancy things like find it, search, replace. These are all operations are there. Okay, I'm not denying on that. So consider about the basic requirement of the editor. Okay, so keeping all those particular options away, what do you need, by the way? You need it in you need to create a file. Sorry, you need to create a file, or you have a file. You open the file, you type it whatever you want, and you save it and come out. That's it, right? That much only you do with an editor, right? So maybe you're doing mistake control jet and all. These are all additional things. Those are all extra things. You just go to the basic of the editor. Editor is about edit your content. You edit the content, right? So these are all features came in later, right? So let's go even in that particular passion. Why we're talking about that is, okay, so though VI editor is a much powerful editor, by the way, so however we use Windows, by the way, however we consider using, the fancy options of talking about, like, control Z, or maybe like, the search, replace and all. So later we are going to start doing the things with a local editor in our local desktop, by the way. We're going to install one code editor. We'll do the coding, by the way. So that time, okay, you need to know about all those particular options. And again, it's a desktop thing, so there's nothing too much to discuss there. Okay, but on the server side, you need to know about an editor, because server is all about, you have some configurations, you have some files, you need to modify them. For sure, you should know the editor. But however, also at the same time, you need to know about every option which is out there. Okay, why? Because, okay, the reasons are, ideally in the organization, we work on the local desktop rather than the server directly. No one will go and directly change on the server. Maybe we are learning the things. We are directly jumping onto the server. We will make sure in such a way that we try to run everything, okay, through automation only. We run everything through automation, right? So you recall the 3 points, whatever we're talking about, the roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. The automation, by the way, automation means you're going to write the code, by the way. Where you are going to write the code, directly you don't go to the server and write the code. You start your work in your local desktop only. That means you write your code here on your local server. That means you'll be spending writing the code on your editor in your local system, not directly on the server. And even certain organizations, you will not have access to server also. Direct everything you have to push through code only. That changes. Okay, server login is considered as a pretty rare option that you get into that particular one in a very critical scenarios of maintenance, by the way, which is you can't push through automation. Maybe like, you kind of need to log in and do something in the very pretty rare cases. You do that. Otherwise, we don't do that. Okay. So maybe you can do that. I mean, so still people may be doing that, but that's not the practice. Okay. See, I can go to, like, let's say I'm in home, by the way, I can go to my office on the wrong side of the road. Can't I reach my goal? Yes, I reach my goal. But is it ethical? Not ethical. Is it safety? Not safety. Okay, all these aspects will come into picture, right? Now people can directly go and modify the things on the server. No one is stopping them. Okay. But you need to consider about the impact of that as well. Okay, so it will not work the things at a scale like where multiple people are working, where an organization level, where the process is involved. All these things are not possible. You touch a server, even let's say I currently work in a core banking system. When I log into a server, okay, so I go through some sort of a tool where that tool even literally records my screen. This happens pretty much in the enterprise organizations. Right. Okay. So this is nothing new, by the way. So they literally record your screen, what you're doing for auditing purpose. That what are you doing that's changed, by the way, because I'm touching the core banking system where you have PIA information, personal identity information, where you're having. So okay, so it is must and should to know that what you're actually doing for compliance purpose. Okay. So I'll not have that free hand of doing the things. Okay. So even there, the login is not precisely allowed unless until there is some approval comes into picture. I have to seek for an approval. Then someone approves that, so I should be logging in. Then for some time I'll be logging in. Okay. So this all a lot of things will come into picture when you actually go into the organization. So that's where let's try to, let's try to understand how you do in the organization work. Then let's try to, do the things or learn the things accordingly, by the way. Now, I would not stop you to go with the editor of too much, but at the end of the day, it will not bring you much thing because much return, by the way, return on investment, because you're actually going to do the editor through automation, by the way. It is going to be your local editor. So there you can talk about multiple options, not an issue. Okay. So, but VA editor, my only point is don't waste, again, I'm repeating, don't waste too much on Linux. Your ROI is very less, by the way. I'm telling you. Now you are actually appearing for a DevOps engineer. For an example, I go with roadmap.sh. So something again. If I go with roadmap.sh, I go with the DevOps. Now let's say I'm spending maybe like, so 2 weeks of time to learn some extra things on Linux. Now that, okay, so that learning, by the way, definitely there is no doubt it will be useful. Someday it will be useful, no doubt in that. Maybe it will bring you a little bit more knowledge, no doubt in that. No one's stopping you. However, think about, if the same 2 weeks, if I invest, and let's say if I learn some other tool over here, that will weight your resume. Okay, so maybe you're learning Terraform. You learn some Pulumi. Okay, then you will understand. Okay, Terraform is working this way. This guy is working this way. Now you have an understanding. You have an opinion. Okay, so then okay, add it in your resume. Then probably that brings the weight, by the way, right? So that is how you have to think, by the way, when you're actually learning as well. So that's where I mean, so don't invest too much on time on Linux, by the way. Okay, so whatever is the bare minimum thing, you should know about it. No excuse in that. And at the same time, okay, always try to keep a time bound to that. Okay, is what my thing. Like, don't waste time like me is always I'm talking about. Okay, so when we were there, so these many tools were there, not there. We used to have enough amount of time. Okay, apart from work, we used to do all the fancy things. Even okay, so there is a book also is there. So VIM 101 hacks. Okay, so there's a PDF also is there. Very good PDF. Even I went. I've been doing all the things. He's a very good guy actually who wrote this particular one. Ramesh Natarajan. Okay, very good guy. So he has given 101 hacks. But after seeing this, so my performance on VA editor, so moved a lot, by the way, improved a lot. But now I don't think so. Like, so after maybe 13 years, 14 years of time, I don't see when I started the career, this is all fancy, by the way. So knowing so many VA options. Okay, back in this, it was just the Linux beginning. Okay, I'm talking about 2008 of time. That's the Linux beginning. Okay, beginning of Linux. That time, okay, I invested time maybe like things like that. Maybe that time itself, instead of VI editor, I would have learned some Java. Today I would have got the better investment, better return, by the way. Okay, at least if I know Java, right? So I'm just funnily telling, but it is serious, by the way. You need to look in that particular aspect. I think I've been repeating the same point and the second day, wasting a couple of minutes, but still, okay. So look in that particular aspect. So I know VI has many options. I'm not denying at all. Even you consider your local desktop editor only, okay. So VI editor only, you will have more powerful options. No doubt in that. Okay, how much fancy editor you bring into Windows, but still VI wins actually in that area. Okay, so now coming to the server world. So now we're talking about servers. We're not talking about development. If it is a development, then it is your choice. Again, you choose vEditor or some other editor again on your desktop. That's another discussion and different choice. But what we're talking about is a server here. In server, what do I do, by the way? And a real server which is running, do I really do I really go and modify directly on the server? The answer is no. Okay, so I'll do the things with automation. So that means automation means, again, I'll write the code, by the way, I'll run through automation, I'll push through automation. So that's where that automation will take care of the things on the server side. You don't need to bother about that. So that is where, okay, so we are going to talk about ideally in organization, we are going to, work on the local desktop on the, editing the code in real time. We don't directly go and modify the servers on that directly. That's where don't bother about too many options, but you should know. And later with automation, okay, we don't do manual changes and all on the server directly at all, even in lab as well. Okay, so that's where, and as well as in the companies. So considering these two reasons, okay, we'll use local desktop editor later, and in companies we don't run the things manual. So considering these two things, okay, we'll learn the bare minimum VA editor to do our job. And what is the two things that we can consider to do it? Maybe we can open a file and save the changes. That's it, right? We open a file and modify the file and save the changes, or you can open the file and you can come out of the file without saving the changes. These two things only can come, right? You open the file, you made some changes, you save it, or you open the file, okay, you made the changes, you don't save it, you come out. These are the two things only I would consider as the bare minimum things, by the way. Okay, so now let's try to talk about how do you do that. Now, for an example, I'm opening a file called as, let's say, VI file. Okay, so now if I open VI file, and then what you need to do is either you press a insert button or I character. Okay, you press a insert button or I character. See, it's like Windows only. There's nothing difference. Now you open this editor, by the way, for an example. You open an editor here. Okay, now automatically, let's say if it is now let's say I mean, your cursor is not actually here, for an example. The cursor is actually, okay, so cursor is coming here directly. But if you want to start doing the work, what you have to do, you click on this particular cursor in the editor, then you start typing. Same thing in VI also is happening, but the cursor is not there. So to enable the cursor kind of a thing, okay, to type the content, what you have to do is in your keyboard, if there is an insert button, you go with the insert button, or you have an I character. So I'll go with insert button. Sorry, insert button. Now you can see this is also even showing that I'm doing an insert, by the way. And after that, I'm going to make some changes. Okay, so I write some changes. Okay, whatever I wanted to do, I'll do some changes. Then after that, so press the escape button. Okay, so I wanted to save it. Even in here also, I'll say do the same thing. How do I save it? Maybe you're doing shortcuts and all. If shortcut is not there, what the way all you have to do? Go to all the way to the file, go to all the way to save. They are giving shortcut. That's okay. But here in Linux, sorry, here in VI, by the way, so you press escape. Okay, and you have to save it, by the way. Then press colon, and here saving is called as writing. Actually, save means save to the disk. When you save the file, where does it save? To disk. Now in Linux, actually, or VI editor, what they're calling it is write, write to the disk. I'm done with my changes. Okay, so write to the disk. So WQ. That's it. Q means save and quit. So you have a save and save and quit option also. So W means it just saves. You're still there. But if you give WQ, it is going to be a colon, escape colon WQ is actually going to give you a save and quit, and you come out of the editor. Now what you have done is you have created a new file. with some content. So now if I go open that particular file, VI file, you can see that particular content. Now let's say you can come out without saving the quit, by the way, so, or you can come out without saving the, without saving the changes. So what you can do is, so the same thing, escape colon Q exclamatory, escape colon Q, you give a exclamatory. I don't want to save it, you're saying, and enter. You will come out. That's it. So I'll open any file which is already having some content. For an example, case.cfg, which is already having some content. Sorry, my bad. I opened it in a VIM, right? So it's VI. Okay. So VI, VIM both are same, by the way. VIM is little enhanced version of VI. Okay. But for us, it does not really matter. Now you can see that existing content already. Now you can do a lot of modifications. Now let's say I don't want this content. Now escape colon Q exclamatory. I don't want to say the changes. That's it. Or if I want to open the file, I wanted to make some changes. For an example, this is maybe like, so this is a OS. I wanted to press insert button. I want to do some modification. So this is OS 7 or something like that. Some as a random change I'm doing. So OS 7 I'm doing. So this is the change I wanted to make it, and escape colon WQ enter. That's it. You open the file, make the changes, save and quit. Open the file, you've made the changes, but you realize that these changes I don't want it, quit it, colon Q exclamatory. That's it. That much you try to keep it out in the editor, by the way. And this search and replace and all those particular things comes in automation, by the way. There's another editor we talk about, which is called as SCD editor, so that we talk about in the shell scripting topic. But for now, you can just go with the VI editor, and these two options is fine. Now even you can go with the VI file. Now you get an advantage, like, so you go to the insert mode. Now you can copy the content anywhere from Windows, okay, and you can right click and paste it here as well. This is done. Okay. So now escape colon WQ, done. So you can see the content, right? So this is how, like, maybe like, you need to create some files, configurations, by the way, you need to do some copy pasting. These are all possible. You don't need to too much struggle, by the way, around this. And that is all about VI editor. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I do not have any questions over here, Raghu, but yesterday you mentioned about why Linux or Unix is more secure, and you gave an example whereby if you have a file and you double click it, it automatically loads the file. I still don't see the point in terms of why is it that Windows is less secure by default and by design than Linux. So great point, but I'm still trying to comprehend it.
So when you double click a file, you're expecting, like, let's say by saying a notepad icon, what you're thinking, it will open a notepad, correct?
Correct.
So, but in that particular property of that particular file, you can point to a different executable, or that file looks like, you're opening a text file, by the way, you're going to double click. Maybe that exe file, okay, you're thinking, because that Windows won't show you that is .exe or .txt, right? Unless until you go to the view option and show extension, it will not show you whether it is a .txt or .pdf and all, it will not show you, correct?
Correct.
So now you think that, by seeing that as a video file, or by seeing that particular as a text file, you think that is a text file only, or or a movie file only. What do? You double click that.
Correct.
So then what happens? This is not the real file, by the way. It comes like an exe.exe. Then you're actually doing a double click, means you're enabling a process in the system, and that means it is actually going to run in the operating system. It gain the access in the operating system now. It is become as a process, and what all the things it is supposed to do, it will do. The damage is started.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that happens over there by default versus here, it
Yeah.
is in the hands of the user.
Right. So here is a reverse, by the way. Now, if I want to edit the file, how I am doing that? VI and the file name. Now, if it is really not a file name, really not a real file name, VI editor will tell that, okay, hey boss, this is not I can't read this file. This is not a text file. Right? So for an example, now if I go with VI editor of, for an example, /bin/cp, some example. If not cp, I would say like ls is all coming in. Any tool, maybe. You see this? I
Yeah.
opened this. So now who is running this program? VI is running program. This file is not running actually.
Correct.
So still there is no scope that, so it goes bypass and get onto the system. Now VI editor is telling that, is all showing junk, by the way. It's telling that I can't read this file.
But that's because you're opening the file. So if you're actually getting a file in Linux, and if you just want to execute it, you always have to go through VI. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just telling it is reversing the approach, right? So here I'm not opening the file, by the way. Or sorry, I'm not clicking the file. I'm clicking
Correct.
the app, by the way. The app is VI.
Correct.
And I'm opening the file. So that means the file related things will not getting onto the Linux. Only the app related things are dealing with the Linux.
Correct.
So that's where you don't have a scope of file things, okay, getting directly onto the system. You don't have that scope.
Correct. Correct. I think I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions on VI editor? Okay. Right. So the next is, so if the file is already there, by the way, so maybe with VI, you can open the file and see the content. Now, imagine that content of the file is having 100 lines, 1,000 lines, 10,000 lines, okay, 100K lines. Like that, if you're having, maybe opening the VI editor and you can't scroll down like that, by the way. Okay, so that means reading the file, you can't rely only on VI editor. So you have alternate utilities for that in Linux, which are powerful commands which are available. So now if you want to see any content of a file, so then there is a command called as cat command. Okay, so cat anaconda ks.cfg. So this way you can see previously I opened VI file and read that content. Now I'm not really doing that, and I'm actually getting the content. All right, so this is how we are going to do it. But however, now just try to understand that if this particular file is having 100K lines, it just bombards the screen. So for an example, I'm not sure you have some content here. Just picking it up for an example, DN. Maybe still short content, you'll not have very long content. So, but still, if I hit enter, so it just went on too many. Okay, too much output went on, but you did not even see in the screen that fast it went actually. Okay, so if these many lines are there, so now for an example, if I go to yeah, that's fine. So if you have a very big file, so which is even takes ages to display on the screen, so cat is also not a great utility. But why I'm going for a reading the file content, I'm looking for some information. When you're looking for some information, okay, these commands will really help you. Now, what is the other alternate things that you have is head is a command. So now if you go for head of and anaconda ks.cfg, it will show you the top 10 lines. By default, head will show you top 10 lines. Now cat is showing 1 to n, 1 to all the lines what you have. But however, okay, so head is showing only the top 10 lines. Now, even I don't want top 10 lines. I want top 2 lines only or 3 lines. Enter. I get top 3 lines only. From starting, I'll get 3 lines only. Okay, so that's what is a head command. And there's also something called as a tail command, reverse, by the way. If I want to see the ending of the file, so tail, last 10 lines, you'll see. I don't want to see last 10 lines. So N4 I want to see last 4 lines. There are empty lines as well. This is one line, this is empty line. So this is what you're getting. Okay, so that's where, okay, you have this, okay, so tail command and head command. Whereas I don't want to go with all the content, or I don't want to go with a line number based content, but I want to search a word and I'm more interested is I want to search a word and I want to get that particular output. Okay, so that is where, okay, so that is where, okay, you can go with the next command, which is grep command. So grep For an example, grep of root from .as.cfg. Now, wherever you have a word called as root, you will get those lines from that particular file. Okay, so there's also one file in the system which can help even etc password, right? So now if I go and grab root from etc password, you get that. I mean, any file is okay, that's fine. But now this file I'm going to go with because my next command is really useful there. Now this file. Now you're getting only the lines with root. Now for an example, now I don't want the row-based thing. Now I want a column-based thing. So column is basically, so now so far actually you go with the line number. What you're doing roots, like, rows like this, correct? You're dealing with rows. So far you're dealing with rows. But I wanted to go with a column-based one. I want to go with column-based filtering. So how do I do that? Yes, it is possible. Column-based filtering is possible. So how is it possible is by using AWK command. Okay, so AWK command. Okay, so then you have to tell that, so if it is a file, by the way, let's say you take this file only etc password. Now each and every column is actually delimited with a colon symbol. So I have to tell AWK, if you don't give anything, it will consider space, by the way. Okay, fine, I don't give anything. Now I'm going to say that, so okay, in single quotes, in flower brackets, you have to give $1 and etc password. You get something else, right? It got cut some content. Wherever you have some space, it's just using this as a first column and it is giving that. So that's what it is giving. But actually here, this file is actually going with a field separator, which is colon. So maybe CSV files you have, right? CSV file you have is a comma as a separator. Okay. So then you go with this. So then you go with that. So now you can see this. I got it. All right. So this is how you can do that. So based on the requirements, by the way, you'll get into a scenario. For an example, okay, recently we started a batch and okay, fine. We sent some WhatsApp message. Maybe every one of you would have got it, or some people might not got it. That's okay. But let's say, we send to some people. Now let's say what all the contacts we have sent. Now let's say if I want to know the number of lines in that particular file, so wc also is another command which will help us even in Linux. So this is my macOS. So out of 7,621 persons, we have sent the sent the message, by the way, a WhatsApp message. This is a whole contacts. Now out of this, okay, I don't want everything, by the way. So I wanted to get only the persons who got failed, by the way. Okay, then what I'm going to look is, so grep. Okay, so I already did that actually. So get failed from contact.cs. So then I'll get only those persons who is actually failed. Okay, so that list only I'll get it, and based on that I'll work with them. Okay, now here I'm getting comma separated, by the way. So now I want only the mobile number. I'm interested in mobile number. So then what I'll do is pipe. Okay, actually you can do like this. Now AWK -f. Okay, so -f comma. This is a comma separated file. And now what I'll do is, so print $2 actually. In second column, actually, you're having phone number. So you're getting the mobile number, right? So this is how we are actually going to, okay, depends upon the requirement. Okay, depends upon the file type you have, your delimiter may be there. So here is a colon symbol in this file, which is some system file. I shown some example which I needed, but you can use the same AWK command. So you can get the one column. If you want two columns, by the way, so comma $2 you can use. So you can get the second column as well. Comma or without comma also, space also you can give, I think it will work. But space is giving, no space is coming, right? Comma is giving a space. No. So then comma is mandatory. So you're getting that. So like this, you can start filtering the content also, depends upon your requirement, depends upon the file. The files are big, by the way. So these options is helpful. This all really helps in the terms of scripting, by the way. So you'll see that these commands useful on the scripting line. I mean, when we talk about scripting, maybe at this point of time, it does not really matter to you. That's okay. Yeah, so that is what I have. And that's about the filters. Cat command, all the content you'll see. And whereas a head command, top 10 lines or top some n lines you can see. Tail, last 10 lines you can see. And grep command, you search a word and you get those lines only. And AWK command, you go with the column-based filtering. Okay, so that's about some of these filter commands. Any questions on this?
Yeah, can you show me that AWK content?
So AWK command, you need to understand the file, by the way. So here is a file. And what you need to do is you need to understand how you want to cut this file. So here colon is there, by the way. So that means
Yeah.
AWK
Yeah.
colon.
So here the file is etc/password, right?
Right.
Okay.
Some file name.
That's my confusion. What was the file name?
Some file name. How does it matter?
Yeah, I mean you have given etc/password, right?
The
I
file
didn't
is,
understand. etc is file or password is file?
yesterday we talked about that, right? So path of the file, I mean paths, by the way. Yesterday we were talking about. So how the things will be. So slash and the directory. Now it is actually the file is actually sitting in another location. Yesterday move and all, I was showing that examples. So etc is a directory, and inside that etc directory, the password file. I'm giving the full path of the file.
Okay.
Or else you don't want to do that. What do you have to do? /etc you have to go, and you have to run this with password. Either of the way it is same. You go into that location and give the only file name, or you are not in that location, you give the full file name. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Raghu.
Yeah.
Raghu, one question on the grep command, right? Is it possible on a real-time scenario if there is an exception on the logs? Normally, we grep it. Is it possible to get the on every exception before 5 lines and after 5 lines so that we know where exactly the exception was triggered?
You can get it. Yes.
So, what would be the syntax like in grep? What are the options or arguments that I should pass?
If you want before B, after A,
Okay.
start reading the documents. I was
Okay.
telling the same thing. You have a requirement or grep --- help, you can type our manual page of grep. Start
Okay.
from internet and you start reading the things. So yeah, so that's where if you want after lines A, before lines B.
Okay. Thank you, Raghu.
Oh, yeah. In the arc, is there a way to find in this particular case HC password first field? How many fields in that thing? Is it enough or number of fields, or some files will have 6, 7? Just to parse them out.
So NF is basically something that, I don't know how many number of columns are there, but I want the nth field, last field.
Okay.
N stands for nth field. I don't know how many number of fields are there. Now etc password, I don't know how many number of fields are there, but I want the last field. So then I'll go for NF. Okay. You will get like this. Now I don't know how many number of fields are there, but I want the last before the field, NF -1. It will come like that.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, this helps. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? All right. So the next one is basically some utilities as well, some more commands, which is a command line browser, a very, very important one. As part of your role also, this command is every day that you kind of use it somewhere, and a command line browser. Okay, because the Linux box says that, so you need to download some software, maybe from internet or intranet, does not really matter. Okay, you need to download some software. Okay, maybe possible intranet, internet. If not possible, some internal intranet. Okay, you might try to download some software, or you need to browse some URL. Let's say my server, my application is working, not working. I have to browse it, by the way, and I have to understand it. Okay, for both the things, by the way. So a call, same like browser. In browser, what do you do? In live, let's say in my Chrome, what do? I do browsing. Second one is maybe if I click on something, it will download. There are two things only will do, right? So anything more than that, I don't think so. Okay, so that's where here also, so the command line editor, you're having sorry, command line, not editor, command line browser. And okay, we are having is a curl command, curl. Okay, curl will call command line URL. And this is going to help us in doing that, which is again a very widely used command. The widely used command. So we'll be using this particular command and running it. All right, so that's where the call, okay, which comes mostly with the default as an operating system. Okay, to specially install this also, like curl is, again, there are other commands like I was mentioning. So always alternate tools will be there, softwares will be there to do that. So from native, curl is the one which comes in. Now curl, now let's say if I know the website, for an example, www.google.com, and it gives a nice content only. This is the right content of Google. This is actual content of google.com. Even if I open here, okay, google.com, that is the actual content, but your browser is showing you something else, by the way. But actually, if you look into the page source, go here, is the actual content where whatever the curl is showing, the same content here also it is coming. Same thing, exactly same. Okay, so that is how, okay, you're going to have a curl command. Maybe if you're actually opening a URL which is actually a text, it will show you the text. For an example, I can go to this one. Maybe I will go to this file. So just this is all some readable content. So something like this. This is the content. If I want to see this content, this URL is basically a readable text content. Maybe like so I will give this URL. You see that content only. Now you're reading, following all the links and all. Yeah, it is readable, right? So that is how is actually going to be, by the way, curl is just trying to browse whatever the URL you give. Okay, but sometimes you need to download the software. For an example, the same readme.md file. Okay, I want to download. So then how can I download rather than browsing? I want to download. So then what I do is I'll give capital O. Then what it will do is it will download that readme.md file here. You see this? Cat readme.md file, you got the content. Now -O will try to download the file. And whereas, I mean, by default, when you downloaded, where the file name actually came is readme.md, but I don't want it as readme.md, but I want to download as, okay, output.md for an example, like just as an example, output.md file. Okay, now I have to give small o on the file name. Now you give a capital O, it downloads with the default file name. And if you give small o, okay, then you can give a customized file name. Same like Windows, same like normal browser also. You right click and the save as will be there. So save as is basically is, and it is asking the name, by the way. But if I give Control S, it is actually giving some name. Okay, so it's by default is giving save as only here. But yeah, so that's how it is going to be. So -O, some customized file name. Capital O, whatever the default file name that URL is giving, it will download that. So now ls output.md file is there. So you have that content. All right, so this is what it is. Now maybe I just downloaded MD file, but by the way, sometimes you download some softwares and all. So here is an example to download the software. So which I'm trying to download. I'll copy this and paste it here. Now what I'm telling is I'm trying to download the software and this is the file name. Or I don't want this file name, so then probably I can directly give it as okay. It just downloaded that file. All right, so this is how you browse and download. And when you actually try to get some files, by the way, so those are going to be, so those are going to be some tar format. Now you can see this is a tar format, which is nothing but an archived one, like a zip file. So zip is there, right? So the same like zip only. Many of the time in Linux world, all the software is packed with .zip or .tar format. Now to extract a tar format, so then what you have to do is a tar-xf. Tar, you're telling -x, I want to extract a file name. What is the file name? Apache, this one. So then it got extracted to a folder. You go into the folder and do ls, you can see the content. Or else sometimes you try to download a file, so which is something like a zip file. Like I have a URL here. I downloaded the zip file. So now you have a zip file. So now unzip the shipping.zip file. Now you got unzipped, do ls. So now shipping-main is a folder and do ls. You can see the content. So if it is a tar file, you have to extract that with tar-xf, and unzip means, okay, so you're going to use zip file means you're going to use unzip. So these are the, okay, so commands that we generally use it around internet, by the way. Curl to browse, sometimes we download the software, those will be zip files or tar files. You extract them, so then you get the actual content, then you perform whatever you wanted to do from there. So this is what is, okay, so we have with the call and extraction commands. Any questions?
No, I'm good, Raghu.
Yeah, you can.
See this curl minus L minus O all in one. No, the very last one. Yeah, the
Yeah.
L option. Okay. So
Basically,
what?
when you actually try to download some software, so why I have used L is, yeah, I did not mention about it. So thanks for mentioning. So here, let's say I wanted to download some software. Let's go to some software. Let's say, let's go to apache.org. Sorry, some software. So for an example, what are the projects? Yeah, all projects. Why to struggle like this? Go to download the releases. So for some software is there. I click on this. I got one software. So then probably I wanted to go inside this. So they are giving tar file. Now, if I click on this particular tar file, so what is the link address? If I just copy link address, what is the link address is showing is this is the link it is trying to download. But if you click on that, actually, it starts downloading, but I cancel this. Okay. Then here, actually, if I go with the history, if I try to copy the link address, where is it downloading is actually coming from the same page, right? Maybe sometimes it will go to some other place, which is like, what is that? Maybe some software, some Sonar scanner, something like that. Okay, so CLI. Maybe download option is there. So for an example, Linux is there here. So it just downloaded. Okay. So now actually, if I go and try to find it out where it got downloaded from, it got downloaded from this link. Okay. But however, when actually I went to go here, copy link address, okay, it's also showing the same thing, this bad. Then in some cases, okay, let me show you with another example rather than these file names. Not able to find out the exact one. Google.com will try. So if you just go with the, hey, where is this? Yeah. Now you are giving curl google.com. So, but there is no such domain called as google.com. Now what it is telling is, hey, there is no such thing called as google.com. You're trying to browse to the curl google.com. In browser, if you try to type google.com, it will automatically taking you to somewhere else. Where it is taking you? Here is the place it is taking you. https:// or at least you look at the domain perspective. It is taking you to www.google.com. So the browsers won't tell you that, it is taking you to some other place. Okay, maybe you're doing a credit card transaction. You're purchasing something in, let's say, Amazon. You're purchasing. It will temporarily take you to bank website, right? So something like that. Okay, so now when you're actually trying to, okay, so here what I was doing is I'm trying to download this particular one. Okay, so this is the right example actually. Why I was circling around. So now if I give curl -o, if I give this. Okay, so if I give this, so then what it is actually going to do is it is actually going to take me to a different place, by the way. Okay, so then that means if I give unzip shipping-shipping.zip file, if you give, it will tell, so here also rm-rf shipping-main rm-shipping.zip file. Okay, all right. Now let's go with this URL. Now if I do this, now unzip shipping dot, oh sorry, what is that? Maybe main.zip file, here it's coming. So because the default file name is main.zip file, here I was using some -o shipping.zip, that's okay. Main.zip file is there, main.zip. Now do ls. Now what it is telling, you are thinking that it is downloaded, but it was not downloaded actually. Because if you go to the main.zip file, it's an empty content actually. It did not downloaded anything. Why? Because if I try to download this file, even in the browser, I'm actually trying to download it, downloaded. But if you really look into the downloads, if you really look into the download, so it actually went with, so what is the URL here I have? So here is the URL I have is this. So let me go to the editor. So this is the URL, but where it got downloaded from? So where it got downloaded from? This is the place that file is there. So that means what happens, maybe on the URL side, they give you one link, but actually if you click on that, they will try to take you to some other link like google.com, right? So google.com, what I'm doing is I'm actually typing, okay, curl google.com. It is not giving me the content. It is telling that, hey, I'm been, so that is not there. Okay, it is been moved to some other place. And what is that place also they are giving? Okay. Now, if I use -l option, so now what you're telling to the curl command is follow the lead, okay, or follow so follow the links what they are giving. So that's where now whatever the link they have given, it will follow the link. So capital L. So now it will go and get now it is redirected to www.google.com. Then it is fetching the content from google.com. So this all happens, by the way, maybe in the UI you will not see it. And call also by default is not happening. We are exclusively have to provide that particular option. Yeah. So that was the reason for call -l.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, Aditi.
Yeah, sir, how come wget was different from curl actually? Because if we use the wget for the same one instead of curl, we have the same file uh, downloaded, right?
You tell me the difference between Chrome and Firefox,
Got it.
right? That's a different
Okay.
utility. That does not even does the 5% of the work what curl command does that. So wget is no use command. It's a third party. Curl is native. Wget is
Got it.
third party. So even wget, I doubt actually in the system it comes by default. Maybe here I would have installed it. That's okay. But usually if I go with the bare minimum of this Ubuntu machine, these are all bare minimum machines. Wget here also it is there, but you will not find it out even by default in the OS, by the way. Curl is what you will find out generally. Wget is no use. Wget is just a downloader with very, very, very minimal options. Okay, curl can do many things. So forget about it. Curl is doing the job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Raghu. So in real life, what is the uses of these commands? Like, how many times we are going to use it? Like,
Many times.
okay.
That's why.
So we are actually, in real life, we are using these commands, right? To manage the servers and all.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'll not talk, right? So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
To do the work, by the way, you need all these things.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Right. So that comes to the end of the Linux basics commands, by the way, but there is one last thing that we need to talk about. There's a concept called as pipe concept in Linux. And this pipe is going to really help us in, combining the multiple commands in a way of sending one command output to another command. For an example, so etc password, I'm getting some content, but on top of this, I want to search for root. I got it. Okay. Right. So that's how it is. For an example, here I have a readme.md file. Now, after getting the content, okay. So now I wanted to grep for what I want to grep for Miro only. So then it is going to give me out of all this particular call output, whatever it provides, I'm getting only the Miro link. Okay. I want to search for YouTube. Then you're getting YouTube. So here, what you're doing is the combining first command with the second command with the pipe symbol. The first command output goes as an input to the second command, and it will work, by the way, and it will do its job. But doesn't mean that every command will do the job, by the way. So some commands doesn't support pipe symbol. For example, one of the command which we discussed so far doesn't support, pipe symbol. Example, rm command. Now, for an example, I have, let's say there's a main.zip file. Okay, so now ls main.zip file. So I get main.zip file, and this is an input, by the way, right? So now I wanted to give rm. Okay, pipe rm, enter. Okay, it is telling, okay, missing operand. That means you're just executing rm command only. So this main.zip output is not really going there. So then how do you do that? So you have to take a third party help, command help. So that's where Xargs will come. Xargs it does a couple of other jobs as well, but majority now, if you look in, so the job of the Xargs command is it is going to take the input from here. Now, who is taking the input? Xargs is actually taking the input, and you are already giving an input of command to Xargs. Now, Xargs is going to take the input and take the input of RM. Both the sides it will take, and internally it will execute rm main.zip file. Now do ls, that main.zip is gone. Now ls file and original case.cfg, maybe anaconda, okay, post.log, okay, 3 files. Now pipe rm directly, if I give, it will not remove. So that's where if I give xargs, so then those files will be gone. Okay, so this is how, okay, so somehow you need to generate the output of list of files, and I give, rm, by the way. So, this is just the command that you need to understand. See, the whole thing that you need to understand is command one output will go to the second command, and second command will do the job. Now, the command like rm, who is helpless in that area, that, doesn't take the input from pipe symbol, in that helpless commands, okay, you take the xargs command, and you take that xargs. With the help of xargs, you achieve this. Okay, so this is how, okay, so the pipe symbol will work, and you can combine any commands, by the way. You can combine a number of commands also. Now let's say a cat /etc password and a pipe, okay, so grep for root and a pipe awk-f print $1 pipe head -1, okay, like this. So you can start filtering. Command 1 send to command 2, command 2 output goes to command 3, command 3 output goes to command 4, like that. You can just combine a number of commands. There is a limit, I think 256 something is there. This 256 also I'm talking about a decade back, or 12, 13 years back, when I tested it, by the way. Never bothered about later. Like, 256 commands, you don't keep it anyhow. So I was just trying it out. Some 250, some change was there. Maybe it is 256, I remember. That's okay. It doesn't bother. So that's fine. So this is what we have. All right. So that's about the pipe symbol. Any questions? So the next is what we're going to have is, okay, so we're done with this particular one. So then we'll go with the next scenario, which is administrative scenario. Now this administrative scenario will not run in Killer Coda. We wanted to go with Amazon. So let's go with understanding of Amazon. I asked every one of you to sign up with Amazon. Okay. And I have provided a Amazon, okay, so login page as well. You open this particular page and you should be able to log in. Okay. So I will be logging into my account, by the way. Okay, you just enter your username, like which is email address, and your password. Okay, so but I don't remember my email, what is signed up, but I'll just go with, I have an account name. I'll remember this. I'll just go with this. So I'll be logging in. Okay, when you log in, okay, so this may be recently viewed, it is showing me, but for you, it may not show you. That's okay. So this is what is the Amazon page, by the way. All right. So now what is Amazon? What is Amazon actually trying to do, by the way? So they're offering services, different services they'll offer. And what all the different services we generally call it up is, okay, so cloud services. Okay, cloud services. If you look in, and they just try to categorize, actually, they're just going to categorize them. That's it. Okay, so categorize as, so like this. So the category goes like this, by the way. So infrastructure as a service, and PaaS, platform as a service, SaaS as a service. Okay. So now there are different things, by the way. So infrastructure as a service means I'll be taking care of my own server. I will take more work I'll be having. I take my own server and I keep everything, by the way, and things like that. Whereas a PaaS, by the way, so PaaS, you're going to have platform as a service. So where you're going to have a platform, you directly use it. For an example, GitHub is a platform. So this is not a SaaS. This is not a IaaS service. So this is a platform service. So where you can write the code, okay, so and you can push the code and things like that. This is a GitHub. Okay, so things like that. As an example, like Amazon is a platform. So they provide a platform, by the way. And inside this, okay, I have to do my work. Now, whereas there is a last one, which is called a SaaS service. Now you don't need to do anything at all. So they will take care of most of the things. Okay, so like end user, like Gmail. Gmail, do you do anything? I mean, you just try to send an email to create an email, but you are not actually, you're writing a functionality on the email, right? So something like that on Gmail. Okay, so that is what is the difference. Okay, you directly use it on the browser, by the way. You don't need to do some extra work. Then it is a SaaS, but you still get it on the browser and things like that. But however, you need to perform some work like Amazon. So like Amazon platform is, I can create servers. Okay, just creating an Amazon account will not do my company purpose. I have to still do a lot of work on that. That's a PaaS service. Whereas IaaS service is, I take my own service, I take my own server and things like that. Okay, so and you understand it. So basically, like car example is easy to understand. Okay, so now basically, like, your own car, by the way. So just, so compare with the infrastructure as a service. Now, infrastructure as a service, you own the car, you own the finance, or basically, like, so what is this? Managed by service provider is a car service managed by client, by the way. So what all the different things that you need to take care? So the car finance and depreciation, I don't know how it goes to the service provider in this example, but let's read some other example. So here, yeah. So I think the first line I'm missing. This is the one, on premise. My own car. Let's go with this. If it is my own car, I have to deal with my car. I have to deal with my maintenance and things. Everything I have to deal with that. But whereas if I go with a rented car, I don't need to bother about its purchasing the car. I don't need to bother about its maintenance. I don't need to bother about its insurance and cleaning. Whereas a ride sharing, if I go for an example, okay. So then probably if I am going with a ride sharing, that means at least Uber or something like that, I will pay, I don't bother about it, but the route and all you have to manage, where to go and things like that, right? But you go with a public transport, I mean, route and all you know to bother. You get to the bus, it will take you to that route only, right? So that is where, okay, the difference, like, you know, your responsibility becomes less, by the way. That's the only idea, as long as you go to the SaaS. Okay. So that's how, okay, they offer different services. Now the vendor offer different services. Now Amazon offers more than 250 different services out here. So on the top left side, if you click on this, so these are all the categories. And in these particular categories, they offer different services. Okay. So this is how we are going to deal with so you are going to deal with okay, different services, and within this platform they offer different services. Again, they offer infrastructure as a service, they offer platform as a service, they offer SaaS services also. SaaS I think very less, but yeah, so majority of the things are IaaS and PaaS services. Majority will be offered by this guy again, considering Amazon as a platform. On top of that, so they offer IaaS, SaaS and PaaS as well. All the three they will offer. Okay, so and those particular different services you will see as a group over here. Within Amazon, they offer IaaS service, PaaS service, and SaaS service. Okay, now even now Amazon actually offer. Okay, so that's about a little bit introduction to the Amazon. Any cloud vendor does the same thing. Like you take any other alternatives like Azure, Oracle, Google. These all people does the same thing. So they offer these kind of services for as far as your requirement, you do that. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you need to run behind learning everything. So there are different technologies, by the way. There are analytics is there. There's a blockchain things is there. There is a, I mean, and these are all generic things, like you can also go with that. Maybe some like mobile development is there, game development is there, IoT things are there, machine learning things are there, media services is there, streaming services, robotics is there, some satellite services, that's okay. Okay, like this, different services are there. Or everything does fall into your role? Ideally, no. Every service of Amazon does not fall into your role. Okay, you are running a web application of your company, only certain services fall under your bucket. Every other service is not actually your job. So you don't have to bother about that. Okay, so that is how it is. So services, you need to pick it up. So anyhow, we are going to go with the services. Now, along with that, Amazon offers different data centers again. Okay, different regions to start with. Now, Amazon offers different regions. On the right side top, if you choose in, so they're going to offer different regions. Now, why they is actually supposed to do a different region? Why don't they keep it in one place, by the way? And, you know, for an example, Amazon is a American-based company, so they can, I mean, US-based company, so they can keep it somewhere in the US. I mean, it is happy for them, right? So why they need to come to so many places and, you know, so deal with that? So that is where an interesting thing comes into picture. Okay, why they need to go to different geographical locations and they need to keep the, you know, so servers there. Why not in centralized place? Because of two different reasons. One is latency. Okay. What is this latency is basically is, now I'm sitting in India. Let's say the server is in Amazon. Server is in America, USA. Let's say America, North America. So let's say now, if I go with the map, by the way, so then how many miles I have to try? I mean, it may be, right? So like, for an example, I'll take about two, let's say North Virginia, distance. I don't know it will come, but I'm just distance on road. Okay. Yeah. Something is coming. So something comes as 8,345 miles, right? Now, on every packet from here, Hyderabad, okay, has to go to North Virginia. That means it has to go over the wire, by the way. Okay. You know that there is all the, you know, all the system, all the internet runs over the oceans. So sea, internet, wire. Okay. So by the way, within the sea, actually the wires will be there. These are the things. So they run through the sea only. So now how they actually, you know, connect the, you know, so countries with the internet is with wiring only. okay, with wiring. And of course, you have some satellite connections and all is also there, but for better performance, I mean, wires are there. And it's there, by the way. It's, I mean, when you're actually reaching from the packet from here, from India, okay, so to USA server you're accessing, ultimately it will go here. Maybe let's say this killer coda actually, is hosted somewhere in, let's say I'm assuming this killer coda somewhere would have hosted in Amazon only. I'm just assuming. I remember I seen it somewhere. Okay, so that's where so who.is actually there's a website, and it will tell you where is actually hosted. Okay, so killercoda.com. So it's actually so coming from where is it actually coming from? No, it is going to different country. Not actually this is a protected information. This is not the right information. It's actually coming through a Cloudflare. Okay, so it's actually protected information. They protected that information. But if I just go with the IP address, I'll try to trace the IP. I can get some IP. So let me take this IP, and if I ask like actually I dot who is no, I wanted to go with IP location. I can give that also here, IP address. Let me trace the information with IP address. With the IP address, it is telling that, so it is actually somewhere is also providing from the Cloudflare. Okay, that's okay. So, but it is actually registered address somewhere. Cloudflare registered address is in San Francisco, but this I am not sure where is it coming from. That's okay. Okay, so where is so based on the IP address, you can track your location, by the way. So this is my IP address. It will tell me I'm from Hyderabad by looking at my IP. So if I by looking at this particular IP, it tells somewhere in the California. It's actually hosted somewhere in the California. Okay. So through Cloudflare, it is actually routing through them. I thought it was through Amazon. Somewhere I have seen. I still remember. They might have changed it also. I don't know. That's okay. Let's say you go with the Miro. Miro.com. An IP address of Miro.com. You get one IP. If I take that particular IP and I go with the same and search for that, so then the information, it is actually, I'm getting my information only. This is Miro.com. Now you see this, you're getting, it's hosted in Amazon data center only. It is telling Amazon data center, it is hosted it within India. Actually, I think for the local customers, actually, they're serving from here. Actually, it is coming through CloudFront actually, from again, same like Cloudflare. But actually, this is not the right IP. If I go with the view, I think I'm giving too much information at this point of time, but that's okay. So just try to, so go with the looking at the source of information, where is it coming from? So now if I try to refresh, it will give me so many websites. So one of this, loaded many things. So let it come. So this is a board, by the way, and it is actually coming CBORD. So something like JS. It's also coming from CDN. So they are coming from many places actually. This is how the websites will be. These are hosted mirostatic.com. This is also a static page, no? So I'm just looking like, is there any place that that's okay, I think. Yeah, this is the service. This is the right one actually. This is the right API. Most of the things are static content, so they don't reach to the servers also. Now, if I go with this guy, but not in this guy works with IP. I get one IP. I think this is still hosted in Amazon. It's showing. Yeah, it's coming. Now you see this is the right, actually, where is it coming from? Now he is actually coming from a Pennsylvania of, okay, Philadelphia, actually it is coming from, and it is also hosted in Amazon data center. Okay, so there is an Amazon region for that. It's actually hosted there, but it is some static content they're just distributing to across local regions. So somewhere Philippines, I'm hoping something should be there around it. Okay, so some region from there. So now the whole point is why they need to go with the. I think I went a little deviated the concept by the way. So now why they need to go with the different regions? So because okay, so now I'm sitting here. If the content is actually coming from some other miles of so thousands of miles by the way, it is going to be slow. For that serving the customers, they come there. And also another second reason is government regulations. Okay, there is a very strict regulations in India by the way. Okay, so I mean, I'm not sure about other countries, but UK has also have that, so certain regulations, but not very strict regulations like India, by the way. So Indian regulations tells that, okay, Indian government regulations tells that, okay, you should not take the data from outside of India. Any India's data, like especially we call it as PII, personal identity information data, like your Aadhaar card or PAN card, such information should not cross the country at any cost. Okay, so that is where, okay, so now, okay, now actually, even though I'm okay with the latency, still I wanted to use USA. But if anywhere I'm actually using that people's data, by the way, I should not cross the country. This is a regulation, by the way. So that's where, okay, we have to be within the region. So that's where Amazon will try to give the different regions for different countries, by the way. Depends upon their business scope and all, they'll start the regions. Like we have different regions, but however, for the training, we'll go for North Virginia. Wherever region you are in, we still go with North Virginia only. Why? Because here I provide some lab, by the way. Here I will provide some lab. And so that lab is accessible only over here. So that's where we'll be using. North Virginia region. Very simple reason. I am actually giving some customized setup to, so for you to access it in your own AWS account. That is available only in North Virginia. That's the reason we are going with North Virginia. Nothing more than reason. And we'll stick with one region. That's it. Okay, whichever the region you are in. But later after that, maybe after the training and all, it's your choice where you run the things. But until then, just North Virginia will be using. Okay, so stick to North Virginia for the training, and we're going to create the servers in this particular North Virginia, and we're going to use it. So starting from tomorrow, we are going to start using AWS, creating the servers in AWS. And so start using the servers from AWS. Okay. So otherwise, that's all from my side for today. So from tomorrow, we're going to talk about administrative topic. And the administrative topic, we're going to start with administrative topics. We are going to start with, our own server, by the way, not Killer Coda anymore. That's all from my side for today. Any questions?
Hey, hi, Raghu. This is Rajesh.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have a account for. I'm not able to create the account for AWS for my own. Do we have any common user ID password to work on it for some time purpose for?
No, you should create your own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is no any other option to work with AWS with other credentials.
No, you have to create.
Okay.
Hey, hi, Ravi. This is Revan.
Yeah.
When someone asks whether the DevOps or AWS is an IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS, what was the exact answer I have to?
I did not get you. Can come again?
If an interviewer asks, is the AWS is a, is the DevOps is an IaaS or pass? What was the exact answer I have to?
Now you are now why the word DevOps is coming into the picture is a question.
Okay,
You
I mean
remove the
AWS.
DevOps word, it is
Okay,
question is fine.
okay, if AWS.
You're asking AWS is a which kind of a service?
Yes, is it
Now,
IaaS or PaaS?
so IaaS means what, by the way? You have to run your own infrastructure. That means you have to
Yes, yes.
listen first. If you are purchasing your own server and you're installing a software of AWS, on top of that, you're okay. So getting all the information, getting all the things, then it is IaaS. Okay, but you're not doing that. You're actually getting directly a URL, and you're getting a URL. That means AWS software you're not installing anywhere. Okay, you're directly accessing that server over the browser. But however, directly accessing over the browser, your job is not done. That means like like Gmail or something like that. Gmail server, Gmail email server has been hosted somewhere. You're just directly using it and paying how much you're using, right? But when you come to the AWS, by the way, so simply taking a AWS sign up URL, your project, you can't run the project. You have to do a lot of work inside that. So that means it's a platform for you to work, by the way. That's why it's a PaaS service. It's not a IaaS service. It's not even SaaS service. Now, AWS as a platform, again, it will give many services, by the way. IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and all, everything it will have. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hi, Ravi. You said that there are two benefits of the two reasons by Amazon having its data center in the different regions. So one of the reason is the latency, and the other one is I missed that. Can you please repeat that again?
It's a compliance, by the way. So like government regulations will be there. So information acts are there. So where for the information act, like you can't take the country's data to outside world. So for that reasons also, Amazon comes in, keeps the data center within the countries, then only they can offer the customers, or customers can use it.
And what was the latency actually?
Latency is basically like, okay, so there's a good article, by the way. Latency is very important. Latency means like, so the time taken to serve your request.
Okay.
So this interesting problem is there in USA, by the way, because the USA is a very wide country. Their stock exchange sits on the east side of the country, whereas the customers are there from the west side of the country as well. Okay, there's again thousands of miles distance is there between east and west in USA. Now there is, so there is always in any country you go for, any area near to stock exchange is a very costly real estate, by the way. Okay. Now, what is the reason for that? The near the stock exchange to you're a brokerage company. How much you are near to the stock exchange data center? Okay, that fast you get the data. Okay. If wire is small, small 1 meter, you get the response in, let's say 1 second. If the wire is like, let's say 100,000 meters, at least it will go for 1.1 second. Correct. Right? So that reducing that time is called as a latency. And if you're really interested, by the way, so there is one stock exchange. Since it anyhow you got your answer, but it's an interesting thing. Someone if want to like how a length of the wire is actually so causes the latency. By the way. So stock exchange, so wire USA. You just search for this, and maybe in the videos you should be finding it out. Okay, so how to slow down a stock exchange? Now, one of the stock exchange in USA has solved the problem of if East people are getting the response in faster time, and where the West people are getting the response in a little latency, maybe 0.0001. That's okay, but as a stock exchange, they had to give a uniform data right to the customers. And they solved that by adding extra wire to the local people, like so whoever is nearby, and they did some math calculation and all. This is a very interesting case study. If someone wanted to, sort of read it out, so maybe it's 5-10 minutes if you can spend, you'll understand. But yeah, that is the latency. More the wire, more the response time.
Thanks. I have a look on. I will have a look on that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
On the latency you mentioned, can we also have, can you also say caching or disaster recovery, setup kind of data mitigation?
I don't think so. That is the reason that Amazon comes you and give the, if disaster kind of a thing, they'll put one more data center in the same common location, right? So they don't need to ship all the way to another country. Those are not the reasons. The only two reasons are Government Information Acts, and the second one is latency. These are the only two reasons.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. That's all from my side for today. Any questions? All right. If all good, we'll meet in tomorrow's session and we'll continue from there. Okay. Starts with Linux administration. Thank you. See you in tomorrow. Bye. Good day. Good night.